What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top-rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in. This is Tom Hickey from 2020 Media, and you are listening to MBT Bank's On the Scene podcast, reaching over 250,000. That's 250,000 listeners of the Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, and weha.com, live 24/7, 365, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. I'd like to start, as I always do, with an introduction of my co-hosts. Our co-host, Bob Carr. Hello, Bob. How are you?
Hey, Tom. Tom Hickey, along with myself, coaching with Connie, and Ronnie Newton is a founder and partner on weha.com. Tom brings to West Hartford the Connecticut Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, which is West Hartford's original lifestyle magazine. The various tastes of West Hartford, the best of West Hartford, which will be coming up this November and celebrating its 11th anniversary, and other fun events throughout the year. Our podcast is assembled and posted by the Modern Observer Group of Middletown, Connecticut. And today our guests are Sam FerrI and Kelly. And you guys are responsible for the artwork on the art installation of benches in West Hartford. Am I correct?
Yes.
Whether they want to admit it or not, they are. We do actually have two other, I might start by saying, two other artists could not join us today who also designed benches, but just to acknowledge them, Lauren Casto, who was from CREC in Hartford, and Michelle Strun, who was from University of St. Joseph's, and they both also did beautiful benches. And for anyone, before I forget to say this, who has not seen our benches yet, you've had lots of opportunity since the spring, but they are all currently, all 13 of them are currently on display in what I call the Noah Webster Square, on South Main Street, where the Noah Webster's statue is, in front of the library, and Fleming's, for those of you who might not be familiar with the area. And then just underneath the staircase, if you went down to the rear of that, or came up Isham Road, whatever's easier for you, near Barnes and Noble at Blueback Square stage. So they're totally surrounding that area. And I'll tell you, I stopped the other day to take pictures for social media because I wanted to be able to send out some posts myself. And I had a very difficult time because so many of the benches were occupied, and then I finally realized, well, that's the whole idea. So I asked the people, can I take a picture of you, while you're sitting, in that bench? So it was very nice to see. And I think, Sam, you couldn't join us the day that we did the walkthrough when they first came to Blueback, but Kelly, I know you were there. And one of the things that shocked everyone, and we've done, from cows to bears to dogs, we've sort of done it all. It was amazing that it was almost as soon as we put those benches down, people sat on them, it was like, and of course we laugh about it now because we're like, well, that's the idea. But, but you just don't realize that with so many opportunities of places to sit, other benches and beautiful walls, around the Noah Webster statue, that there's plenty of other places for people to sit. But boy, they like to sit on our benches.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
well, it's interesting because I feel like, you make a piece, and I think if somebody puts their rear end on it, that's a sign that somebody doesn't necessarily like it. But I guess in this instance, it's a little different.
And especially, Sam, in the one that is now just outside of Fleming's, where we encourage people to take a seat, because they're part of the dinner table, when you're sitting there. So I hope that we get a lot of activity on social media for some of these as well. But one thing that, it's always easy, not easy, but, for the people behind the scenes, me, Bob, Hillary, whatever, Ronnie, to say, oh, we're going to, put 13 benches out in West Hartford Center. But, you need to come up with, they need to look different. They're not easy to paint, especially a bench, because it's, it has those, what do you call them, pickets dividing them.
Slots.
So how, what do you guys have to say about that? How, great to come up with these ideas, but not so easy to execute.
Yeah, I agree. The slats were a challenge, at least for me, because I wanted to have something on the front and on the back, depending on where people were going to see the bench. So lining up the picture on both sides, because most of my benches, the front mirrors the back. So it was hard lining up, the picture and making it make sense.
Yeah, yeah. And then I know on a couple benches, I think maybe the one with the flower on it, or maybe it was the sun, Kelly. You had then treated it a little bit differently in the back, like you did a mosaic, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the sun has the mosaic on the back side. Yeah.
That's cool. All right. My all-time favorite, Sam, not to put you on the spot, is I think you had done it which was very appropriate for the developer, Robert Udoff. But you had done, what was the message? It's something like, I used to be two chairs, now I'm a bench.
But it's I was born a bench, but every night I dream of chairs.
There we go. So, I love it. And they're so much fun. And I tell this story all the time. Was it last year? Yeah, last year we had done the dogs. And if you remember, Sam, you had also done the dog. I think it was from Modern Tire. Don't quote me, but I think it was Modern Tire and French Cleaners. And it had a cat. It almost looked like graffiti, that was on it, which was all sort of, part of the message and the brand. And I ended up getting a call one day from Blueback Square's management because the cleaning crew, because they wanted to alert me that someone had vandalized and used spray paint, on the dog, but don't worry, they were going to clean it off. And I was like, oh no, please don't clean it off. Sam did that intentionally.
Well, that's why I kind of like doing this project. I mean, more typically, I mean, I do a lot of different arts, but more typically my background is as a cartoonist. I work small for magazines, newspapers, little comic strips. But I think what I find sort of interesting about doing these physical objects in public spaces is that level of interaction that it enables, right? So the challenge can be, I think one of the reasons I accepted this as like something to do. I think it's really a fun challenge. The object is different every time. The dog, how do I make this interesting? How do I kind of make it something that people can kind of move around? It's the dimensionality of something that's not flat, right? That there's so many different ways that somebody could view it, that people are touching it, and how does it become a part of their lives? I think that's one of the interesting creative challenges of a public artwork that has multiple dimensions to it.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And it's funny now that you say that, Sam, do you think because this was a bench and it was, a bench is designed to be sat on? I mean, do you think that engaged people more, like they were more open to go sit or something? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how people think about it. Sometimes I think, sometimes when you're an artist, you create work and you don't know how it's received necessarily. I do, like I said, I do stuff for like, I used to do a lot of work for Mad Magazine and different places. I create a work, I send it out, an editor takes it, it goes out into the world, and I don't necessarily know how it gets thought about or not thought about.
Right.
I do see people sitting on the bench when I pass by sometimes on my way to other places, but I don't know if that's a compliment to the work or it just is a good place to sit. I don't know if it was, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a question, kind of a question
as a
there.
compliment. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kelly, so when you were doing this, and you mentioned the bench, the front and the back, and the slats, et cetera. How do you conceive this? Do you have this all in your head first before you start painting, or as you're working on it, then you kind of, I guess, kind of just create as you go?
Yeah, I definitely give it a lot of thought before I even start the painting project, just thinking about, okay, how is this going to look? Can I incorporate mosaics? Because stained glass and mosaics is my medium. I don't consider myself a painter. So this was a big stretch and a challenge for me. as an artist to paint something in so many benches. So yeah, it's there's a lot of prep that goes into it. You know, trying to get different ideas of what I think other people would like, what I personally like. So yeah, a lot of thought went into it. And then, you know, there were some times that I started creating something and I'm like, oh, this isn't really working the way I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
And, you know, how can I fix that? So yeah.
I remember the mosaic. I remember the bear. Was the bear that was mosaic that was really super heavy? Is that
Oh, the dog.
the
Yeah.
dog? There's the dog. Okay, sorry. I remember.
And Kelly gets the credit for, you know, we auction off not all of them, but some of the sponsors want to keep them, which is very exciting, you know, as well, because then they have a permanent home. But last year just last year I think it was that the dogs were auctioned, and that dog brought in the largest revenue, you know, for fundraising, and that was for Ron Foley Foundation,
Yeah.
and the whole bit. So, you know, it's a nice way for also, which we always seem to forget, you know, but there's always a beneficiary, you know, of you know, other than us, you know, because the money goes right to their bank account. You know, this year it's the West Hartford Chamber of Commerce, because of all the budget cuts and things that they've gone through. So, you know, make those donations. It doesn't make any difference if it's $1 or $1,000, you know, whatever it is that, you know, that you can do. And all those QR codes, I think it was Sam, you had asked, you know, do we have to put those obnoxious QR codes, you know, and ruin the design, you know, of it. But unfortunately, probably in hindsight, they used to be on signage, you know, next to them, you know, that's probably where they should stay, so that we're not, you know, as I would say, you know, bastard or Joy, Joy Taylor used to always say to me, you come up with these great ideas and then you ruin them with all this logo soup and all this crap that you have to, you know, that you have to put around the project. I was like, yeah, somebody's got to pay for it, but that's, you know, that's what happens.
Where will you find West Hartford's best and most comprehensive business news? At weha.com. Subscribe to the weha.com newsletter Business Buzz for free every Monday at weha.com. Log on to we-ha.com. We have it all in West Hartford.
Well, you know, I think it's like it speaks to the idea that, like, when you have this like public art thing, anything you put around it becomes a part of the piece, intentionally or unintentionally. I mean, you were sort of asking before about how people interact with it. I was thinking, like, you know, in a sense, like, what's sort of fun about these is that the people who interact with it become a part of the piece, the same way as the QR code. So I thought maybe they could be next to it or something, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny. One of the artists, Lauren, did she had focused on cancer survivors, you know, you know, for her bench. And that very first day, Kelly, that we were there, I don't know if you had noticed, but there was a woman with cancer, you know, who was sitting, you know, who was sitting on the bench. I thought to myself, oh boy, that's moving, you know, right there. Just so, you know, she obviously could have sat down anywhere, you know, a little bit, but she chose that bench.
Yeah.
Well, they are inviting, right? As opposed to certain benches that look like they're uncomfortable. At least if you're sitting on something as a piece of art, and even if it's not comfortable, you have to kind of enjoy that being kind of wrapped in a piece of artwork, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's an interesting concept of sitting in art as opposed to viewing it, right? You know, so and being part of it.
Yeah. And from an insurance perspective too, Bob, you know, I feel more comfortable with people sitting on benches, you know, regardless of what we did or didn't say or try. People sat on the dogs, people sat on the bears, people sat on the cows, you know, and that makes you a little bit nervous because they're not designed to be, you know, sat on, you know, or climbed on. But everybody did for selfies and, you know, and for social media, you know, opportunities. So we welcome people now to, you know, relax and
I'm going to be Tom here for a second because Tom usually asks people for their email addresses, their phone numbers, their websites, and so far he has not. He's forgotten because he's so excited about the bench. So, Kelly, how do people contact you?
You can find me on my website. That's artbykellykelly.com. I also teach a lot in the area, and I also you can find my products in some local boutiques.
Oh, cool. And Sam?
You could check out my work at misconnected.com, MISCONN. Well, you know how to spell connected. Misconnected.com, or on Instagram at Sam's Inkwell, although I have not updated it in a little bit. I also am the coordinator over at the Makerspace at the West Hartford Public Library, Studio 20 South. We facilitate a lot of art making over there. So if folks in the community want to try their hand at learning about making a podcast like this one, 3D printing, laser cutting, cricketing, audio, video, whatever, that's a cool place to come. And I got some other cool projects right now. I'm working on building some stuff for Nightfall. Those who are in the area are probably familiar with like really cool production that happens in the park every year. It's coming up, I think, October 4th. And yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
One of the things that I was just thinking of too, in prior outdoor art exhibits, you know, like the dogs and the bears, we've used, am I accurate in saying this? I think we used a different artist,
Mhm.
you know, for each, you know, dog or each bear or, you know, whatever. By design, we did not do that this year because I'll publicly thank and acknowledge Sam and Kelly because they were very easy to work with, you know, in prior, you know, in prior years. That it made it easier selfishly for us, but it was probably more difficult for you guys, right? Because you were doing multiple benches. You know, you had to come up with multiple creative ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did quite a few.
Yeah.
At one point, I'm like, oh, my hand hurts.
Yeah. Well, and I know, you know, you'll laugh when I say this, but you know, sometimes I'm just like, oh, you know, do whatever you want, you know, and all that, you know. But sometimes, like the flag bench is cool. You know, one of the sponsors, she and Hilborn Breen, you know, is very patriotic and all that, and wanted to have a bench that was, you know, flag themed, you know.
Mhm.
So at least I was able to say, oh yeah, you got to do it, you know. But I know, like Sam, with you on the developer side, I just said, oh, it's, you know, it's Robert Udoff and his developer, go to town. You know, but you know, that's hard, I can imagine.
Well, I think it's fun to sort of plumb the depths. You know, sometimes you have your first idea, which might be kind of, I had some ideas that I rejected. I didn't know if they would go over well. I thought it'd be funny to have a giant set of lips and you could sit on a bench and get your butt kissed. You know, get the love and affection that you know, get some butt kissing. Everyone wants a butt kiss.
Yeah.
But then, you know, again, I thought, I don't know, maybe that might not go over. You know, but then I think every time you peel back an idea, you get another one. I was a little frustrated because I thought at the end of it, I had a great idea and I had no benches left. I had
Oh,
already, you know, done the last one, but I was right after I'd kind of embarked on it. I thought, oh man, I want to do one, you know, like those lawyer ads that you see on benches. That'd be fun to do like a parody of one of
oh,
those,
That'd been great.
yeah.
like a fake lawyer ad. But you know, I got no benches left.
Yeah, exactly. So, and everyone, and I'll say it. Thank you for the opportunity. You know, everyone always says, "Well, how come you don't have 50 benches?" You know, a little bit, and we probably could. But the key here, to everybody who's listening to us, with the huge staff that you know that Bob and I work with, you know, you're talking about really 3 contacts per bench. You know, it's the sponsor, you know, it's the artist, you know, and it's the beneficiary a little bit. So really, you know, there are 39 contacts that we have, you know, just by doing the 13. So that's sort of what we can manage, you know, right now. So, you know, who knows what will happen in the future, but that's manageable, you know, at this point in time. Is there anything that I forgot to ask or Bob forgot to ask that you guys would like to say now that you've been through? Have you? I should know the answer to this question. Have you painted a bear, a dog, and a bench, or just dogs and benches? I'm trying
I
to
just
think.
did the dog. I did a mosaic. I mosaicked the dog, and then I painted the benches. I didn't do any of
No
anything.
bear. Okay.
No.
Sam, did you do a bear
I think the Bears happened. I see.
before
I
you got
moved
here?
here. Yeah, I moved to Connecticut in 2020. So I don't know if that was. I don't know when that happened, but I think it was before my time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was definitely before because the oh, I'm going to say it wrong. You guys probably know. that great gentleman in Hartford. He had helped us with the cows. That's why we brought him back for the Bears. French name, Boussier, is it?
Tom? Tao.
Yeah,
T-A-
Tao. Thank
Tao. Yeah.
he's passed away. I mean,
Yeah, he did recently.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was terrible. So that's sort of how we re-entered. And actually, the short version of that story was, people were looking for something to do that was outdoors, during during COVID. So bringing the Bears, enabled us to focus on that. And bears were sort of a logical thing for us to do because if you recall, everybody was hibernating because they were in shutdown, a little bit. So bears were all over the place, a little bit. So we just brought them to West Hartford Center as well. So it's been fun. There will always be something. So keep those creative thoughts in mind, Sam, for future opportunities. There'll always be something different that we do. We actually had quite a few people already suggest something to us for the next outdoor art exhibit, that we do. So it's sort of fun when the community, gets involved. But I'm going to come back to it again, Bob, because I think it's important. Your Kelly and Sam, your contact information again for people who need great artists and mosaic work done or cartoon work done. How do they reach you guys? Kelly, you go first.
Alrighty, you can reach me at artbykellykelly.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Art by Kelly Kelly.
Great. And Sam?
Yes, Instagram, Sam's Inkwell, website, misconnected.com, or you can just email me at samsinkwell@gmail.com. And I forgot to mention, I also teach over at the Art League. So I teach comics if somebody's interested in learning a little bit about comics.
There we go. Or if someone needs a good laugh, we all need a good laugh these days.
I did make one comment here because Tom mentioned the West Hartford Chamber way earlier in this conversation, but we got to come rolling, is that they are a nonprofit. And most people don't think of chambers of commerces as nonprofits. So one of the things that, that's one of the, and they support a lot of folks in the community. They support a lot of businesses in the community, help startups, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's truly a nonprofit and not part of the town. It's not a business. It is a business, but it's a nonprofit business.
And Bob, you and I can both speak as former board members that, what they do with very limited funds and resources is amazing.
Correct.
It's much more than ribbon cutting. They really, they make a big difference, which is great. Well, believe it or not, we are already out of time. So hopefully we've encouraged everyone to head to West Hartford Center because many of our listeners are not near us. If you cannot make it to West Hartford Center, you certainly should have seen everything on social media by now, but you can always go to 20media20, 20media20.com to check out photos of all of these exhibits. It even goes back as far as the Bears, or simply Google search on weha.com. That's we-ha.com, and you can learn all about our outdoor art exhibits. So until next time, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Sam, for your time. And a special acknowledgement and thanks to NBT Bank. I also think I forgot to mention them halfway through. Without NBT Bank, there would be no podcast. We all need sponsors to make these things possible, and we thoroughly enjoy bringing these wonderful topics to you so you could learn more. So again, anywhere that you're listening to your podcast, tune in. In the meantime, be well, be safe, and we'll see you on the scene.
What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.